All right, guys, now it's time for a conversation that so many of you have been waiting for. Candace plus Ye. I guess it kind of starts with a time machine. I got to take you guys in a time machine back to October 3rd, 2022, a day that will live in infamy. Me and Ye premiering shirts at his fashion show, which read White Lives Matter. Definitively a moment I will never forget. We broke the internet. There's no other way to say it. And people just couldn't believe, how could a Black person say White Lives Matter? We can only say Black Lives Matter. And it's just interesting to see how the media sort of paints a narrative and there's absolutely no truth to it. I mean, what really happened is Ye called me and he asked me to simply be at his show. Never asked me about wearing any shirts. When I was there, we were backstage and he sort of held up the shirt and he was really in the creative process. There were tons of models running around and he just said, I need you to wear this. And I said, sure, because I knew instantly what he was trying to do and what he meant. Shortly thereafter, though, everything changed. And obviously, aside from people being angry at us wearing the shirts, then it shifted into this conversation about Ye and his anti-Semitism. And I can say definitively that it was the toughest moment in my entire career. I had never felt more pressure externally from the media and from friends for me to condemn Ye. And I didn't take the bait. I didn't take the bait because, as I have said many times, Ye had opened up to me about some things that were happening in his life. And you're going to hear in this conversation what those things were. And you can understand how someone would feel if they were subjected to the things that Ye was subjected to. I, of course, wanted the world to hear it back then. I had invited Ye to come on my podcast at the time, and he was slated to come on. But the evening before, I found out that that was not going to be a possibility. The network that I was on didn't think that I was the right person to interview him because of our friendship. And he was really upset. He was very upset. He essentially said that my voice was being controlled, and something overtook me in that moment. And I said, look, Ye, I obviously cannot overrule this at all. If I had my own platform, I would obviously host a conversation with you, but I don't have that right now. I do not have that right now. But what I do have is a camera, and I have a friend who knows how to run a camera, and we can just record this moment. And we can lock this in a time capsule. And one day I will have my own platform and I will premiere this conversation. And that day is today. When I say that it was a tough moment, you were even looking at me when I watched this conversation back. You can just see it on my face. I was postpartum. There are very few times I'm not a crier. I definitely am not a crier. That's not how I express emotions. But I remember going through this period and there was a moment when, because I was postpartum, ladies know you had that moment where your hair sheds postpartum. And I remember dealing with the press cycle with Ye, dealing with friends and followers who said they wouldn't support me ever again unless I came out and condemned him, making a decision not to condemn him, and standing in the shower and my hair was falling out in clumps. And I just said, please, God. And I was just crying hysterically, have mercy on me. Please just have mercy on me. I just need to get through this moment. I'm a breastfeeding mom. I can't take any more. My show's just gone 5 days per week. Make it stop. Make it stop. And now I look back on that and I just think everything happens for a reason. And whatever inspired me to say, let's just put on a camera, turn on a camera here and record and have a conversation and lock it up in a time capsule. It was because that was exactly what needed to happen at that time, and a better moment for people to hear what Ye was thinking and what he had to say is right now. So guys, I invite you to listen to this conversation, Candace plus Ye. It was recorded on October 17th, 2022. I hope you like it.
I'm happy to do it tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, it's better than doing it in the morning. I'm obviously not the best morning person. We were talking about doing a Godcast for a while, actually. So this works. Why did the word Godcast come to you?
Rumble podcast. They had God in it.
Okay. So it wasn't an ego thing? People will say, oh, yay, Jesus, Godcast. Is there any messaging in that?
Just the more we could say God, the better. The more we could say God in the media, the better.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I think one of the things that's the most interesting, I want to dive in this way, is people don't actually understand. There's something about you and I coming together that the media cannot stand.
Right.
It's actually fascinating to me. Like, I called you super stressed out 3 nights ago. And I was just like, what the heck am I going through right now? It's another level that you graduate into when we're talking about Ye and we're talking about the media. I don't think people understand when I say the attacks come from every angle, every side, in every regard. They'll attack you on your children. They'll attack me and my relationship. They'll go after family members. My dad called me stressed from Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, he called me stressed from Hawaii.
Well, it's so funny that you said, you remember I talked about the gray hat and the gray hat hitting your table. Read the last text from my dad out loud. We talked about the miracles. Read out loud the last text.
Wow. When do you want me in Hawaii? Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. Well, my dad's in Hawaii right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and he called me stressed up. When I picked up, he was just like, Candace, what is going on? Then I actually started laughing. It was kind of comedic relief because my dad is not really like that. And he was like, I'm reading all these headlines. And my sister was texting me. My uncle, the whole family has just been texting me are you good? And
all hell has broke loose and all heaven has come through.
Yeah. In a way, yeah. It is. It does feel like all hell has broken loose. And the last time I went through this, though, it was a similar thing. It was for some reason, the game of life was just Candace and Ye are not allowed to come together. Why?
I mean, it's the impact. It's the gut feeling it's the intuition and the intellect. It's the gut with the information. It's the idea meets the study. And that's how other people have risen to forms of power. God is the only power, and we are vessels. God is a true artist, and we're the vessels. And he's calling for us to lean into these combinations. What they do is they'll do everything to keep the artists away from each other. When me and Dimna were next to each other, it was such a powerful combination. When me and Ken were next to each other, that was a powerful combination. When me and Jay-Z were next to each other, it was a powerful combination. So I love these moments of these powerful combinations together, and whatever feel you do for the futurists, the people who can see what the future is, the kids 20 years younger, 40 years from now, 80 years from now, when they see this, that's a big thing, is lean into those people that everyone tells you, you don't need to be next to that person, but you have something in your heart and your gut on why you should be next to that person. I've had people comedians that you know of call me and said, stay away from Candace Owens. And, literally my, I guess you use the term friends, have done the same to me, even to the point where I'm going to be on Bill Maher this week. I'm going to be on Piers Morgan. I was just on Chris, how do you say his last name? Tonight.
Chris.
Let me see. Chris Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo. Wow. Yeah. You did Chris Cuomo?
Yeah. Tonight, 30-minute segment, half talking, half a little bit of back and forth arguments. And then when you're landing, they're saying, oh, I can't be on Daily Wire. but I can be on all these platforms. And you said downstairs that they told you the reason is you weren't going to push back on me enough.
Yeah.
Like Chris was saying stuff like, you need to understand and you need to behave. And he said that at one point in the interview. I said, whoa, let's play that back. You need to behave. You're not supposed to talk like that out loud, Chris. We know that that's what it is. And I was just talking to my girl. She was in the car listening to me while I was doing this live Zoom. And afterwards I said, this is the way I felt in Hollywood the whole time I was there. Like people were telling me like, you need to behave. You cannot wear a red hat. You cannot talk to Candace. You cannot say how you feel out loud. Like today, they took down my Drink Champs. They took it off of whatever platforms, YouTube, Drink Champs, Revolt. And they also took me off of the Balenciaga sites. And I just looked at my girl and said, yo, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy because I have this freedom from beholding to these brands that say, we only rock with you under these conditions. Like, we can have you be a black person, but only a black person that's wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. Which at this point, now that I've worn a White Lives Matter t-shirt, I'm totally fine with wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. As well, because all lives matter. But even all lives matter would have, I cut what I'm saying, this train of thought.
No, you're making perfect sense to me. I had two thoughts today. The first, I had a lot of thoughts today. I didn't just have two thoughts today, just to clarify. Yeah. But I was thinking earlier about when is the first time that I heard Ye was mentally ill, right? Mm-hmm. So I grew up on your music. Obviously, everybody knows, like when you first were spinning through the wire, mm-hmm. and you had a remarkably long career in the public sphere and nobody had ever called you mentally ill, right? And now, no matter what you say, when you don't exist under, I would just call it Hollywood terms, their number one rebuttal, if you have an idea, you're saying things like, well, he's mentally ill and he already said he was mentally ill because he said it on this podcast. And therefore we don't have to listen to anything else that he has to say because we've already said he's mentally ill. And so I actually researched when is the first time that the public told us this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was in 2017 that they said that you went to the hospital and you were bipolar and that...
It's 2015.
Sorry, pardon. 2015 when Trump was...
Yeah. About to... Right when Trump got elected, I went to the hospital less than a week after that. Mm-hmm. Because the entire time while he was running, people told me that my life would be over. I would be on the wrong side of history. Like literally people threatened my life and told me, I did not stand up and say, hey, this is what I believe in. And that's who I am. That's what my character is. So I think that
they made you think that.
Yeah. It's like how people, they said the reason why I couldn't be on Daily Wire is the Israelite comment. And every black person is fine with calling ourselves black and being called black. But when I bring up the idea that we're Jew because we are from Africa, the Bible was the majority is like set in Africa. Then it's challenging. And we talk about on the George Floyd documentary is called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. The idea that black people are not Jew is the greatest lie that's ever sold because you don't see the Jewish abortion rate at the same level as the black abortion rate. 50% of black deaths a year is actually abortion. You don't see the Jewish divorce rate at the level of 70 something. You said the percent of black moms raising their kids by themselves. You don't see Jewish people shooting each other down in the street on World Star and then rapping about it. It's just not, there's not Jewish content like that. And also Jewish people do business together. And that's what I said on the Drink Champs. Hey, these are things that I'm envious of.
I think the first thing that someone would say if you said that, right, is same for Chinese. You don't see Chinese people shooting each other. You don't see Chinese people with this super high divorce rate. You don't see Chinese people and Japanese people and Korean people and Hispanic people-ish, but no matter what, nobody's rates of violence and abortion are as high. White America, forget Jewish America, white America don't have these same rates, right? And so they ask why isolate Jewish American population?
Well, for black people, okay, with the rates of that ours being higher, we're still, you go see the slave movie, you see like a slave get their teeth pulled out in front of another slave. Mm-hmm. We're still getting our teeth pulled out, literally like in jail. I have friends whose, family members went to jail and they got killed by an officer, and then the officer all of a sudden quit. And they're not there anymore and stuff. And so they can't do the trial. And, so we're getting, left and right, still treated like slaves. And, with the reason why I specifically say the Jewish people is the Jewish people, like how the Armenians worked in a meatpacking district. Mm-hmm. The Jewish people came into power in the 80s, truly, when the divorces started happening because of Wall Street, because the Catholic lawyers wouldn't divorce people, and they came into money the way how the darker Jews, the black people, are coming into money now. Mm-hmm. And they had to, and they did a great job. They colluded. Before that, they were very involved with the civil rights movement, which actually the movement it moved blacks from being Republican over to becoming Democrats. That was what the movement, that's where the move happened. Now everyone's, well, why are you calling them out specifically? When I said DEFCON 3, I didn't get an opportunity to say what that meant, but it meant I'm going to call out all these things that have been done to me specifically by Jewish people that so happen to be businessmen or businesswomen, but still it was done by Jewish people to me, to the darker Jew. And I was going to go one by one. And the reason I said it like that is just to say, I know you guys are going to call this anti-Semite, and I'm not afraid of that title. Now I'm going to lean into that title. So call me whatever you want, because you call me void already. What's the definition of black? Void of color. Some people, artists may say it's all color, and it could also mean it's like what they did when I ran for office and they showed me on the TV and they blacked my face out and they had me be void. And I think that Jewish people always will tell you about the trauma and the Holocaust. So one of my favorite lines on the Drink Champs, you actually hit me about this, is when Doug Charney said, hey, I want to take you to the Holocaust Museum. And I said, I want you to go to our Holocaust Museum, Planned Parenthood. We're still in the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish people died in the Holocaust. Over 20 million darker Jews, black people, have been aborted. More babies are aborted in New York at this point than born at this point. And my thing about the media, the majority of the media, over 50% of the media, at least probably 80%, but over 50% of the media is run by Jewish executives, and they allow all of this abortion-driven content that more affects the darker Jew, the black people, more than any other race. But then you ask the question, you can't even Google, when you Google Jewish abortion rate, it'll be one piece of information. The next information is from 4 years ago or something. There's no information about it. And if I attempt, my mom said try and spell it. If I fail by attempting to have a conversation with a Jewish person about the abortion rate, they won't allow the conversation to be had. That's why I said, hey, I'm Me Tooing the Jewish race. That's saying, hey, you guys got to come up and say, did you do this or did you not do this? And I'm calling a lot of times, say, people feel like I'm very selfish driven because I'll talk about things I specifically went through. So I said, okay, well, I'm this voice for the actors, the musicians, the athletes specifically. I know are in situations where at least 4 of the people that they do business with are Jewish, and those people know each other, and the athletes come and go, and that 4, 5, 6, 8 people remain. The athletes come and go like cattle's in the stable. The actors come and go. The musicians come and go. And that mainstay of that Jewish, just say crew, because it sounds less ramped up than mafia, right? Than mob. Sounds less mentally ill. So let's say there is definitely a crew. And I've been there and I've been talked to certain kind of ways. And you know who else wouldn't be talked to a certain kind of way? Kobe Bryant. You don't get talked to a certain way. I don't get talked to a certain kind of way. So things that I'm saying out loud, hyped up or calmly, I'm saying things 5 times a day that black people, leaders, not specifically black people, just leaders throughout time have been killed for things that we're doing 5 times a day. So one thing for the black community and all of this like woke culture and, you know, Charlemagne and different things, it's like, bro, this is getting ridiculous at this point. People got to put some respect on the fact that I'm actually brave enough to say this out loud. Like, that's what's lit. That's what God is inside of me. That's why I feel so good to be used. You done got me to a point, y'all call me so many names. You've disrespected me for 3 years. Forbes wouldn't call me a billionaire. It is important if people are calling you crazy to be like, oh, but I'm a billionaire, because it's like, it's not me being classist. It's just me fighting against that, saying, okay, you're calling me crazy, but I must be doing something right. Now I'm not doing something. I'm doing everything right. And then to reach to the concept, the idea of being the richest black person ever. And we're just at the beginning.
It seems like we've got something new to worry about every single day. I mean, do we even know who's actually running the country at this point? We don't. There's wars, inflation, the persecution of political opponents. It doesn't seem to ever stop. So here's what I am doing. I am protecting my savings with gold and silver. You probably heard me talk about my newest partner, Goldco. They're a top-rated precious metals company with over 6,000 5-star reviews. They've helped me buy precious metals, and they couldn't have made the process any easier. Right now, all you have to do is make a minimum $15,000 cash purchase, and you'll get a 5% instant match in bonus silver. I mean, honestly, this could be the fastest 5% that you ever make, so do not sleep on this offer, because once the bonus silver is gone, it is gone. Go to CandiceLikesGold.com to learn more. That's CandiceLikesGold.com, or call my friends at Goldco. The number is 855-222-GOLD.
You know, George Farmer was so elated by the response that we were getting, and then Elon Musk was retweeting what's going on, or tweeting about what's going on today, and it hit Bloomberg and it's top trending. And I said to my chief of staff, get me a plane. I'm going to Nashville right now. And the feeling is right. Then we went to a restaurant, and the restaurant literally had all the same letters of the name my mother gave me. It was Kayne. So that's another, it's like you're talking about your dad with Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And like, I had to, you know, you guys saw that. You saw me hand the phone over like David Blaine. I couldn't have written that. My dad is like, cause the funny thing is, where is your dad in Hawaii? Because I have this feeling like, let's go to Hawaii because I made really good music in Hawaii. And I just want to go to Hawaii and actually do what Jewish people love the best out of me, is make music and make people really happy. So,
that's interesting, because I think what's missing in the conversation and the media trying to spin what you're saying is that you are talking about an industry where there are Jewish executives. And that's the first time I've actually heard you say Jewish executives. Mm-hmm. And I think before, the way that they were trying to sort of callously interpret it was that you meant every single Jewish person in the entire world. Every person walking the street has this power. But you have lived for a very long piece of your life, at least in Hollywood. And what is weird to me, and where I'm trying to play catch up, is that there was a piece in the LA Times written by a Jewish guy named Joel Stein, and he said, who runs Hollywood? Come on, man. And he's a Jewish guy, and he wrote about how all of the executives in Hollywood were Jewish. And that piece wasn't called anti-Semitic. But yet now, if you say that part, if you say that a lot of the executives, especially in music, I thought this was something that people knew. I've heard this in Jay-Z's music before. So I was very surprised that there was this, oh my God, how dare he say this? And it's anti-Semitic for him to say this. And how can you say that, I think what you're talking about is that every piece of what you have created has been owned by a Jewish executive, and that there's a disproportionate amount of Jewish executives in Hollywood. Like if I was going to get my nails done, I might say there's a disproportionate amount of Vietnamese people wearing the nail salons. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know what happened, but they got here and they were like, we're going to do nails. You know what I'm saying?
Black people in the NBA.
Right. Yeah. So why is that? Are we allowed to say that? If I just said that, there's disproportionate amount of Vietnamese people doing nails, nobody would have censored that. If I said there's a disproportionate amount of Spanish people at the border.
Because the people who run the nail shop.
But that won't get censored.
The people who run the nail shop don't run your podcast. That's it. Okay. Now your nails might not get done the same way as before.
They're going to be like, she's blowing up the industry that we're at. But that's true. And I think
that's why I say Jewish people have bought the black voice.
And that's what you meant by it, is that they're disproportionately represented in the media. And so if something that you say is something that they don't like, they won't allow you to have it said. That's what you meant. That's getting more specific.
Okay. It's more specific, but my emotion about it as a human being, as a leader, I operate at every medium, from the most brash and brutal to medium and understandable to highly sophisticated. We have to operate in all those. My feeling and my emotion, because I am a human being, I'm not a robot. So if you take a woman can be scarred by men just off of one bad experience with a man. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it might be a 6-year-old girl that has an experience she shouldn't have had with an uncle. And that woman ends up being a stripper or, disliking men. So imagine if that woman had that experience with 10 men, right? So I can tell you I've had 10 bad experiences with Jewish execs and these are the Jewish people I come in contact with. Mm-hmm. So if that woman had that experience with 10 men, she may say this term, men are all the same. She could sing it. She could say it. And imagine if she was just like beautiful, like if she had like the face of Irina Shayk or the body of Candace Swanepoel or the body of Kim or something like that, right? If this person like was just kind of stood back, or like say it's like Halle Berry or something, like if they just stepped back and were a bit timid to give a number out, and somebody says she hates men. What do you mean, all men? And would men do a whole series of 80 outline things calling she's anti-Menetic? Is she anti-Menetic because of her experiences? And she allowed to have the emotion that because of her experience, now she hates, now she dislikes. I'm going to say dislikes because it's considered to be hate speech. Like, yes, I'm at a place where I'm like, I'm not going to talk specifically to Jewish businessmen, because Jewish businessmen are the ones who have done the things to me, to hurt me and to hurt my friends. Right? So now I'm talking to Jewish businessmen's families. That's why I said the Jewish people, because I'm calling the Jewish people to talk to the Jewish businessman family and say, are you doing fair deals? Or with your version of the boys club, right? This isn't the Catholic Protestant boys club. This is people that have been through pain and rose to success. Yeah. The Jewish business community. I need their families, their dads, grandparents, wives, children, to ask them, are you doing fair deals by God? Because yes, we do have Zionist Jews and we have godly, take Friday and Saturday off Jews, right? Jewish people. And as Jay, in my position, I'm one of the darker Jews, black people's most loved by Jewish people, blacks, period. Like for 20 years. So that's the reason why God put me in this position. You know, when with the, I have to word it the right way, but with 2024, you know, coming 2 years from now, whoever ends up into office by 2024 has to bring the country together. There's no more of this divide. So that means the funny thing about the Jewish media is I have their attention. They love me. They always love me. I have their attention.
Now you're referring to media executives. So like
executives, yeah.
Yeah, so like TMZ is owned by Harvard, and that's one Hollywood publication that would like be writing about you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Harvey Levin.
Harvey, my name is Jay. It's not Kanye West. I take it like you calling Caitlin Bruce. Like my name is Jay. Like, so those little things. Also refer to me as billionaire. Christian billionaire Ye. Matter of fact, I may legally change my name to Christian billionaire Ye. So you'll be forced to call me Christian billionaire Ye. So, because since my name is Ye, I got a lot of room to extend it on the other side. I'm doing a prefix. Wait a second, I had a train of thought that I was getting to.
You were saying the Jewish media, and I just interjected to say you're talking about specific people in media.
But what was I saying about the Jewish media? I don't want to like kind of ramble to find my point again.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. Because even like we're in that ticket, I'm like a bit sleepy.
Yeah.
It's just that's what made Through the Wire. I'm going to do podcast sleepy from now. When I do Bill Maher 2 days from now, I'm going to go in sleepy. Right? Because I have so much energy as like alien level African king that if you put me in a normal podcast situation with an antagonistic media person, then they can get me to look as animated as they would want me to be on stage or on a basketball court. But in that setting, I have to speak. So now I figured out the code to be as calm as, you know, they would like me to be in these situations. So, but man, I'll get back to it. Otherwise we'll have like another conversation where we could find what we were saying.
Yeah. But I just wanted, what I want to go back to though, with the two things I want to say. So first off, when I was coming on the plane, my podcast was on shuffle, and Jay-Z song came on. It was dun 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 dun. He says, oh, I know what it was. He says, I dumbed down my audience to double my dollars. They criticize me for it, yet they all yell holla. If skills sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil, and I ain't been rhyming like common sense. When your sense got that much in common, and you've been hustling since, the only perception for perception go with what makes sense. Since I know what I'm up against, we as rappers must decide what's most important, and I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win. And I was just so stunned. I ran it back like 10 times because I forgot how much I love that song. And I was like, he's literally telling you that he is dumbing himself down. And he has decided that the better thing to do is to keep the people that follow him stupid and be able to help them by giving money. Like, I can't help the poor. Like, I dumbed down my audience to double my dollars. Like, he has to make a decision to be smart, right? To be rapping like Talib Kweli, or to make money and be able to give back to people. So he knows. And this made me think of you because you said on that podcast that got taken down that information is the number one resource, right? And he knows that he has to choose between giving the people information or having success. And I was stunned by the verse.
And what record label was he on that helped influence that decision? It was a Jewish record label.
Okay, what was it? I don't know. See, I don't know the industry.
Universal, Def Jam.
Yeah, Def Jam. He was definitely
a Jewish and French, because you got Vivendi that owns Universal, but French, that's super colonizers. Like the French own 80% of African banks. You know, so
nobody would be mad if you had tweeted that, by the way.
Oh, the French, but that's because the French don't hyper focus on controlling the black voice like the Jewish media does. So, but this makes me think Drake is the best rapper ever by the numbers. Jay-Z is the greatest rapper ever by the inspiration.
Yeah, he inspired me.
There you go.
He was smart. Okay. You know what I mean? Like he was talking business, but you either got it or you didn't. He was telling you the code that now I'm being stupid. Like I'm giving you guys stupid stuff because this is how it works. Like in order for me to stay successful, I have to keep giving you stupid stuff.
I just think Yonsei need to let him go get some pussy. Seriously.
What?
He gets to go to the DR or something, like, you know what I mean? Like,
what's that about though? What's that about? Are you good friends with him still? Because you know what's missing from this whole.
I don't know if you're gonna run that line or not.
I'm not. This is going up on Parler. What do you mean? Are you gonna run it?
Yeah,
that's the bigger question.
I just think like, man, it's like Jay-Z is like the head. You know, we're under the fire and we're the firefighters. But in order to be a good firefighter, you got to be willing to run into that fire. And that's what makes me the number one firefighter. That's what makes me Michael, because I'll run into that fire. Everyone knows that I'll run into that fire for the people in the burning building. Who's the people in the burning building? All of society. Because blacks and rappers are the thought leaders. We're like everyone, people, you know, if you go to a college, people have different majors, but everyone majors in Drake at the college. It's very few people, even if they don't particularly seek to listen to him, everyone in the college knows the song. So that becomes then the information, a part of people's curriculum and DNA of the way we think. And what I've been saying is like the idea of free thought, the White Lives Matter t-shirt. That's an idea. Let's talk about idea separate to that t-shirt. You have the idea for civilization to move forward. What do we do in marches? We marched. And what's marching? Walking, right? In order to walk, what do you need? Both legs in order to walk. How do both legs work? One foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. So watch this. An idea is your left leg, and actualizing, I like it better than execute, like universal positive forward moving language. You actualize with your right leg. You think the idea with your left leg. You actualize, you're moving forward, right? But if you go into a place where there's thought police, they put the innovators into a place of crawling, and our civilization is no longer moving forward. And you can believe it or you cannot. And I can like classify as a black person, this and that, but I'm challenging all the systems one by one, right? That we will be happier. And not only, I don't love the word utopia, it seems over the top. Not only find a happier way to live, we will actually survive, because we can't survive by being oppressed, by having our thoughts oppressed and being afraid to say what we feel, because, hey, you know what? We could feel something, for a bit, you know, and then if you get to do it, you can get over it. Like sometimes like a kid can have a chocolate binge and they get the stomach ache and it only happens one time. Or they can go and touch the stove and they get burnt and it only happens one time. Right now, we're not getting the opportunity to touch the stove. If I hadn't went so far, said the word DEFCON, right? DEFCON, then we couldn't have had an open conversation about what Jewish execs are specifically doing. All of the conversation would have been said to be hate speech. Like, how can I hate Jews and I consider myself to be Jew? But then people say, well, you hate black people because you wore White Lives Matter. And now, like I talked to Noriega this morning, he was like, okay, I realized this. I realized that I really don't feel Prodigy died from choking on an egg.
Jumping in right here, because at that time, as you can see, both of us were really sleepy. It was very late at night when we were having that discussion, and I hadn't even fully comprehended what he said there when he said that people don't believe that Prodigy choked on an egg. And I had no idea what he was referring to. And I just wanted to let you guys know that there was a rapper named Prodigy who began speaking out about the Illuminati. He basically said, I have this platform and I want to use my platform for good to wake up the masses to what's really going on in society. And so I am going to dig up this old clip of Prodigy right before he mysteriously choked on an egg. And he decided to speak with Alex Jones. Take a listen to what Prodigy had to say.
Yeah, they doing all this ritualistic murder and rituals on little, they molesting little kids, doing satanic sex rituals. Like, this stuff is really going on in this world. Like, on 9/11, what they did was they killed 20 birds with one stone. You know what I'm saying? That's how I like to say it. You know what I mean? Because they changed all kinds of laws. They changed all kinds of they changed people's mentality, the way they look at the world. They pulled off one of the biggest ritualistic murders, you know what I mean, that ever happened, you know what I mean, live for the whole world to see.
So there you have it. That is Prodigy. And like I said, he then mysteriously choked on an egg. Maybe the first person in human history to have choked on an egg in some capacity after speaking out about the Illuminati. Let's jump back into my conversation with Ye.
I really believe in a lot of the things that you're talking about, but we'd rather just accept the pain. Pain is like first thing that drugs that we get, as black people, is like sugar and then pain. And pain and I know because I have a tendency, to be masochistic. It's part of my superpower, right? Like the ability to Deadpool the pain, to overcome, I'm telling you, like a good comment, a bad comment, someone calling you something can change how you feel. People have sent me so many comments about, me standing up about the information with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd that I actually felt happier today. Like today has been my happiest day, right? Because obviously there's, you showed in your documentary that they hired thousands of people to go out in the street and there's a currency for outrage. But there's also really intelligent black people that are tired of our narrative being forced down, forced to us. I don't want to say down at the, because it sounds like pause. So but our narrative being forced to us for us to take, what happened before with the media is, they would go and get the best and the brightest to represent black people. And there's been a shift. They don't want there to be another Beyonce. They don't want there to be a Candace. They don't want there to be a Ye. They don't want there to be a Dr. King, a Farrakhan, a Martin Luther King, Michael Jordan, Nat King Cole. They don't want that. They want to say, hey, we're going to take this person that was a drug addict and we're going to replace him. We're going to replace Martin Luther King with a drug addict. We're going to replace my dad, who was a Black Panther, with the Disney version of Black Panthers. And the fact that Virgil passed, no, I don't mean Virgil. I mean George passed. I don't mean George. I mean Chad passed. Now you can't talk about Black Panther, or you can't point out that Black Panther was actually being used to erase my father's legacy and what he fought for as the actual Black Panthers. And also, if you go to this one, I think it's called Maleficent, this other Disney film. Mm-hmm. If you look up Moors, there's a black guy with wings on next to Maleficent. Mm-hmm. But that's not who the Moors were to us. And it's so funny. The first thing I said when I wore the White Lives Matter t-shirt and we were in Paris, I said, you can't un-Google this. But they took the interview down. So they're in the process of slowly un-Googling me. Mm-hmm. They're in the process, mark my words, they're in the process of un-Googling me. And it's a balance. There's like an argument that's happening inside of the Jewish media right now. Like, do we give him the platform? Do we not give him the platform?
Because not giving you the platform is almost proving your point.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have a Jewish executive who makes a decision that you're not allowed to be on the platform, then you go, okay, well, you prove my point, right? Whereas
that's why we're in your house right now, because they wouldn't let us talk on Daily Wire, specifically for me having the claim, the possibility that the darker Jew known as blacks that came from Africa could possibly be Israelites, that could possibly be Jew.
And I was just to be super open, I was confused by it because I'm like, are we saying that there's no such thing as black Israelis? They live in Israel. So I don't know. Maybe Kanye descends from it. Maybe I descend from it. Who knows? Right. So I don't know why making that claim. Like if you got up here right now and you were like, I'm a white male, why would you need to be deplatformed for that? Like, why would that be such a thing that you couldn't say that I'd be like, oh my God, you're not allowed to say that you're a white male. Like, we cannot have you on the show.
And maybe people, if people could be transgender, why couldn't people be?
Right. That's what I mean. Like, what's the big deal? Let's pretend that you're completely making up. Why can't you just say that? Like, why is that information, like you thinking that so crazy that it can't be said, you know?
Yeah. If people could be transgender, why couldn't they be trans race? You can define who you are.
Rachel Dolezal was trans race. She got her OnlyFans. She's not deplatformed. She didn't get her Twitter account taken or Instagram taken. So that's kind of the question that I had. And I also want to ask you, like, going back to your analogy, why run into the burning building, right? When the people inside of it are saying, we don't want help because they're so convinced that it's not a burning building. Right. So you either have the Jay-Z perspective where it's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send some firefighters to try to throw some water on it. Mm-hmm. Is your perspective is like, I'm going to run in the building, rescue as many people as I can, and I might kill myself in the process. Right. Why not do what Jay-Z's doing? Get to the top, know how it works, and just say, well, I'll do a little charity here in Zimbabwe, and it is what it is.
Yeah, because just enough isn't enough. Like God calls us, and I believe God's going to call them too, because they're dealing with it even in their positions. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't, like I said, they don't want the media doesn't want another Beyonce. They want to go and take.
They launched the BLM movement with Beyonce and Jay-Z. Don't forget the Trayvon Martin BLM thing. That was them marching in the streets in Brooklyn. Someone want to correct me? Brooklyn, Beyonce and Jay-Z, they launched that movement.
I can't say that they always, make the right decisions and stuff. They lost one of their best decision makers, being me. Like I kind of, went into, Calabasas for a little bit and, blew it up, right? We got this person getting people out of jail, making billions of dollars, cultural influence, all this stuff. And, God has, called me to move around. Interesting, like, okay, so I'm at the BLM premiere and the death of the BLM, the scam aspect of BLM. Now, I want to say this may get picked up or not, that I felt when I saw Kamala was running for office and they showed this picture of her as a child, I saw my mother in that picture. I wanted to vote for her. I almost forgot I was running. I was like, oh, right. And so when I see the George Floyd video, the way they capture it, the way it sounds, it hits me right in a place. It's like you completely forget that the guy is on drugs. You completely all these different things, and it just hits me as a black person. I put that label, the label I've been given that I've grown up with, and I understand why it hurts, and I understand why it worked for a moment. But now we're in a place where we have to dispel the trauma and move forward. It feels like all black people own are trauma, the word and braids. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody get braids. You better not get braids type. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then
It's appropriation.
appropriation.
It's ours. Yeah.
But where's our land appropriation? Where's our, company appropriation? Where's our brand appropriation? We're the walking billboards for Louis Vuitton and Balenciaga. It was interesting, just the shift, the tectonic plate shift of me closing the Balenciaga, opening the Balenciaga show, and everyone, from the culture, black people, white people, they were all into the idea that because I was ruffling some feathers, it was right on the line of, is it too far, right? And then I opened up the Balenciaga show and people were just like, what? And it felt good. It felt awesome. And then I put up a picture and under I said war, but little did they know that I meant war. And then the next day I do a fashion show that's purposely sabotaged. Like people, this was like rumors of Catholic priests, levels, sabotage. They went and took the, I don't want to word it like that because that could be taken misconstrued. I say they sabotaged the season 9 show. They went and took the microphones off of the children's choir to make sure that we started late. That was just one.
I was there when you were like yelling, like you were upset about that. I remember.
Yeah.
They're saying like the mics are off the kids. The mics are off the kids. Supposed to be starting.
And that was one of 1,000 things. Even the lady that was, there is now she's leaving the school. She'll no longer be principal, moving forward. So, that was just an example. It was like, here's the shift, and it started there, and it gave the opportunity for the speech, and it said, hey, I'm the leader. You will not un-Google this. And they caught the picture of the t-shirt and it said, White Lives Matter on it. And, all hell broke loose. But when hell breaks loose, we have an opportunity for heaven to come through and for God to use us. And that's what's happening. I mean, that thing was like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. That happened.
It's crazy.
It seems like a lifetime ago.
Literally, I'm 80 years old as I sit in this chair.
See, you aging in Obama years.
I'm aging in Obama years. I want to walk out of this and just have white hair. I was just like, I got to a moment where I was just like, wow, how did a t-shirt do this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know what? They're angry is because in my perspective, it was like we wore the t-shirt and then they did their usual media attacks, and usually they're up against people that they can break, right? So they needed me to post the statement that's like, I'm getting my distance from Ye, and I've realized that he's made some mistakes, and that he's off his meds and he's crazy, and I hope he gets the help he needs, right? I didn't do that. So
that's
they
what Chris
doubled
Cuomo
the tax,
did,
right?
Yeah.
So now they're going after my family. Like they edited this photo, this video of me and you, I didn't even tell you this, on the red carpet at my premiere to make it look like we were in a relationship. And this starts going viral. Meanwhile, my husband's 10 feet away. He just doesn't do cameras, right? So they're doing, from every single angle, just trying to see if they can break you and I having any type of a relationship, which is fascinating to me because the same thing happened last time. And that was like the whole Blexit thing. Except you took the bait that time. And then.
And never, that's my never again. Like I say, Kamala's our never again, because you are what Black people wanted Kamala to be. You're exactly. So thank you very much, media, for prepping, the culture to be able to see what we really need. And it's just such a godsend. It's just hitting me right now that we absorbed this platform, and what we're going to be able to do with it is incredible.
The question that I wanted to ask you for fun, do you believe that you have bipolar? Who told you were bipolar? And when were you told that, in 2015?
Exactly. I was told that by a Jewish doctor, and the information was put out by a Jewish Hollywood trainer to the Jewish media.
Mm-hmm. So,
actually the day when they put me in the hospital, I had started reading the Bible really heavy and rewriting Bible verses. And when the Jewish trainer saw, and you're like looking like, well, that sounds pretty bipolar, but the Jewish trainer saw that, put me in the hospital, and then, said, and then put it in the press. And
the press being TMZ broke it, right?
Yeah. I don't remember. I was in the hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
why were you in the hospital?
Exhaustion.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't sleep much. I mean, we don't sleep much.
I do. I actually do sleep a lot. It's my favorite thing. Yeah. I see. That's Trump said, I'm sure you don't sleep much, but I do. I sleep like 6 hours, 7 hours. So, anytime I disagree with the norm, people say, well, are you getting sleep? They're so concerned about my health.
Because like, then as soon as you put out that you have a mental illness, it becomes this thing where they can just stigmatize everything you do.
Everything, they can discredit it, but what happens when, everyone's wearing Yeezys, or what happens when, we change a color palette or a shape of something, the shape of a shoe, the shape of something in apparel? What happens when we change the look of homes? What happens when we simplify the way we think and the way we communicate? Then, who needs sleep? And you take something like Moses, I always tell people Moses was on speed and he stuttered, or ketadin, or whatever they called it, whatever that would have been, the biblical version of that. But God had something for him to do, and this is a God's dream, right? This is something for me to do, and God is on our side. It's God's time. This is why we're on this platform. This is why God provided. How is it that, God told me, go to Nashville right now, and, Kid Rock, he was leaving out of town. If Kid Rock had been in town, I would have went by his house to hang out and go to the studio. But because he was out of town, when you landed, we were here, and they were telling you as you were landing that I was not allowed on the Daily Wire, and that's God guiding our path. That's how the video game of life works.
Interrupting briefly here to speak to you if you are somebody that feels that you are taking a step back every month instead of moving forward. When the bills are higher than ever, what you bring in every month feels like it just instantly leaves when you have to swipe that credit card to cover the difference, and the debt just keeps adding up. But if you own a home, my friends at American Financing can help you. You can break free from that cycle. American Financing is saving people just like you an average of $854 a month. Think about what you could do with an extra $800 every month and not having to worry about those minimum monthly payments. Even better, it costs nothing to find out how much money you could be saving. All it takes is a quick call to American Financing, and if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So call American Financing today and start your journey towards being credit card debt-free. 800-795-1210 is the number to call. That's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens.
Disney got the line for Snow White. If you look at how thin the black line are on the Disney characters in the original movie, that came from a French artist he was working with. Similar to me, working on apparel and getting a European designer to give that cut on something, or even like the biggest company in the world is an American company, but the lead designer was from London. It was Johnny Ives. So it's that mix of those that we got to look at all the talent on the planet and bring them into the American companies. The American companies are the super forces. I mean, that's PayPal, McDonald's, Amazon, Google, Apple. It's like, and now, what Yeezy is slated to become, because Yeezy's got, one of the 2 most, compelling, founders living. The other one is Elon. So that's us. It's like Yelon to save the world. Yelon or Yelon, or however you want to word. I saw that actually up today. It's for us to, come together. What's so good is like Elon actually, he illegally, can't become president. So that means that at a certain point, like I have to be president, and to empower. It's like, it's crazy. Like the current, the Biden administration, so the current Biden administration, won't even talk to Elon, won't even speak to Elon. Like, wait, what?
What? Because he's not staying in line. And that's the thing, is like, I feel like they say that to everybody, and I get being called crazy when you're not crazy will drive you crazy, right? I was being driven crazy by the fact that every time they picked up an article, they just kept, like, this is what I called you. I'm like, they just keep calling him crazy. And with Elon, it's like different attacks, but it's consistently saying stuff that isn't true. And then you have everybody else, like the masses, repeating stuff that isn't true. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand why I get frustrated. It's like, how much more success can you have before they stop?
Right. But that shows you they won't, because the success that will happen is, this is the success, having our own platform. It's not up to Twitter. I mean, now it's still on Apple currently, it's still on Apple, and it's still under the satellites. So there's a bit more freedom. We're just at a different level of the video game. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's still, some mountains to climb. What I'm really big on, I want to talk about is, in our Sleepy Cast, and I'm going to go get some sleep, is, well, I touched on it before. Maybe we can cut this to work together, but to bring people together, the left, we always talk about the left and right. Well, we're one body. We have a left and right. So we're really big. Like right now, the left is fighting against the right. And that's like, if I was going like this, my left hand and my right hand, we have to fight together for our species, for humanity, because the right has some great things and the left have some great things also. Like the left is really good at media, so, and the left is not, they're not happy with the Biden administration either. And we have an opportunity to really win the hearts of the left also. It's not, I'm really big on, like when I made Stronger, Nicole Scherzinger from Pussycat Dolls was dancing to it up and down Record Plant Studio. But then when I played it for Ice Pick, who was one of the executives at Rough Riders, that's rest in peace, passed away. When he heard it, he put his nose up, like he said, the whole thing sound like that? And he wasn't into it. So I had this challenge of making Stronger, which is now Diamond's my biggest song of all time. It's a Diamond record, be able to play on Hot 97, Rhyme Ready. I knew it was going to play on B96, but which is a white pop station, but how does it play on Hot 97, which was like ran by Jay-Z, and, not ran by him, but he was the most common voice on it at that time. And that's the thing, to be able to, there is a way to appeal to both sides and find that place of happiness. There's things where like, Trump and Biden had a lot of places where they aligned when I looked at their policies. So I'm really interested in really bringing happiness back to the world, bringing joy back to the world. But we have to call people on what they're doing for there to be happiness in the world. We can't just say, oh, it's okay for people to like super complicate deals and to collude on deals and to not look at us as human beings, as artists and athletes and actors, that we have to be willing to like stand up for that to be able to change something. And we need to come together as a society to be the first civilization that actually became civil, to stop war. Like people, it's a possibility of having a worldless world, where the human species is not at war with each other, but we are more sophisticated because of social media, because of the information that we have now. And we got to have people like us and God using us to push that to to the next side. And we got to get control of our country. We have to get control of our family. And right now there has been an agenda in the media and in politics to remove God, remove the family, and to remove our country from us. So it's time for us to take control again. And with God and God's on our side, so that's what's going to happen. I've got faith in that. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
There it is.
Yeah. That was like presidential towards the end. We could put some music. What kind of music you want to put with that?
I'm proud to be an American.
Yeah. It needs something like that. Because I think about my boy Mike Howe. This is the guys that told me to go speak on Fox on the Gap when they were like making it look really bad on the floor, and that's what started it. And now then it's like boom, MSNBC, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And we just keep on speaking up. And this, I feel like there's stuff that we did tonight. Do you want to do any other things that you want to put it just because we can do?
Yeah. I'll move everything. I mean, I had a list of things that I wanted to talk to you about.
I mean, we got more to go. We should do one of these a week.
That's what I'm saying. We should just start doing this once a week. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I want to talk to you like another podcast about like the war on men. You know, I want to talk to you about drinking.
Yeah, think about Drink Champs.
Do you want to hear something? Yeah. But you want to hear something like, did you know the word alcohol?
It's from the spirit alcohol?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You knew that?
Yeah.
I believe that.
It
literally, kills your spirit and allows demons to come in. You know what I mean? And take over. And I 100% believe that. I can say this since this is our podcast. Mm-hmm. I definitely was drinking when I put up the DEF CON treat. I had, who's, I want to say alcohol I had inside me, but I don't know. Hennessy. Wow, it's interesting.
Hennessy. It turns us gray. And literally the demons
just come in. Yeah, no, I was fascinated when I learned that, the history of that. And it's literally because when you drink, you become a different person. It's almost literally like a spirit has taken over you. That's why they call them spirits. Did you know that? That's why they call them spirits.
Yes, absolutely.
That's crazy. How come we didn't put that information out earlier that you were drinking? Nobody asked.
Well, no, because I didn't want to discredit.
Oh, here we go. They'll be like, oh, now every time he tweets, he's drunk, you know?
Yeah. Because it keeps on like taking away the fact of what I was like saying or what I was about to do. And also sometimes the truth comes through because it's another way to discredit, right? This thing right here, we've got some stuff in it, the temperament of it, the lighting, the feel, the two people that are here doing it, because we've been waiting for this one. This is the one. And this is the one that needs to be on Parler as the first Godcast, as the Sleepy Cast, the Dreamcast. I used to like that. It was like Sega had a Dreamcast.
Yeah, I know. I used to play on it, Sonic.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Sonic too.
Sonic is just a bomb game. That and Donkey Kong on Nintendo.
You know what?
Donkey Kong and Nintendo was like another level. The old school when you had to like put the...
Yeah. I like to talk and play video games because a lot of times the podcast is very like, you can't do something at the same time.
That was too complicated. Xbox ruined everything.
Yeah.
Just too many buttons.
That's what I'm saying. We need to go and play... I mean, you made like the newer, like the Nintendo Switch has a Sonic that I used to meditate in this during COVID, during during this pandemic, during the pandemic.
You used to meditate to Sega? What are you saying?
I used to meditate in video games, and it's funny. I would watch like WALL-E over and over and over and over, and I had a cousin that just reads a lot. And they were like...
I got a husband that reads a lot.
And he was just so mad at me that I just kept on watching the same movies over and over. But if I like a movie, like I'm watching Northman right now, it's about these Viking slaves that overcome things. And it's, I don't know what God's plan is for me. A Norseman, they fight to the death. But I'm willing to give my life for what God calls me to do. But I think it'd be cool to have a podcast where we're playing video games on a really big screen and then we're just talking. I also feel like, my kids like to watch people play video games.
That's the weirdest thing ever to me. Yeah. That's a whole culture. Your brother's like that. You do the same thing? I'm like, this
Well,
is
yeah.
weirdo.
Watch the lives.
Watch it. So if we're playing video games, that's actually going to pull it. Imagine being able to even attract the entire video game community as voters.
Right. Attract them onto Parlor too. But it's true. Yeah. They like me, by the way. The gamers love Candace Owens. I stood up for them with the BS. The original Me Too was Gamergate, but that's a way deeper, lower like thing that people can't even talk about. The gamers get what I just said with that. But that was the original Me Too, and that's what brought me to my awakening. So I like the gamer community. But the only thing is, like, what game will we play? That's a serious question.
Life, the game of life.
No. It has to be like a good video game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be one of the old ones. Like, it has to be like Donkey Kong or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play freaking Grand Theft Auto. I see that's what you want to play.
I'm not big Grand Theft. I mean, life is Grand Theft Auto. I'm not. We're in Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
That's the closest to the simulation of our life. That and the Bible itself. If you think it's like simulation theory and the Bible itself, is like, okay, if you pick your character, you're going to make the character in your image.
Yeah.
That's how the Bible starts.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. So, I'm just envisioning where this Godcast or this Sleepycast or this Dreamcast can go. You know, I'm like ideating and envisioning the next frontier of where this is, but I'm just overwhelmed by what, you know, God has done for me today. I'm happier than I've ever been.
All right, guys, so there you have it. So many thoughts probably racing through your head. It's kind of a weird thing. The outside was so loud, the media, the headlines, the screaming, and yet this moment, I'm grateful to God for it because it was kind of the eye of the storm. And I think a lot of the stuff that he said was extremely valid, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say. And I'm grateful. I believe that the only solution is more speech, not less. And I hope that you carry that attitude with you because it's the only way we're ever going to get closer to truth. I'll see you guys tomorrow.